Hi everyone, NUSensei here. Today we'll be taking a look at the Mandarin Duck Frontier. The Frontier is a 17-inch ILF recurve riser. It is part of Mandarin Duck's ILF line of products, which includes the Frontier as well as the Blade recurve limbs. When I first opened the package, I had a sense of deja vu. There are a few parts of this riser as well as the limbs which reminded me of something else. So we'll go to that just a bit later. The website is a little vague on exactly what metal this is. Wouldn't be surprised if just aluminium. The riser has a black powder coat finish, so it does have a rough matte look rather than a glossy look, which is great if you're looking for a duller color scheme, especially if you're using this in the outdoors. The riser, as I said before, is 17 inches long. It's obviously very small and compact and isn't very heavy. There's otherwise not a whole lot going to it in terms of its shape and design. There's a very simple cutout. Otherwise, the rest of the riser seems fairly solid, and that's basically what you see is what you get. Now, the big selling point in terms of Mandarin Duck products is that the Frontier is ILF compatible, which means that the limb pockets are compatible with any ILF limb, which we'll demonstrate later. So you can see here, these are the ILF bolts. Now, for whatever reason, the bolts I have looked a little rough. There's a bit of adhesive coating. The finish seems a little rough, and there seems to be some manufacturing fault or chip on the edge of the bolt. Again, these are purely cosmetic, so it doesn't affect the riser itself. And do bear in mind, this is a fairly low-cost riser, so we wouldn't be surprised if the manufacturing was not 100% perfect. You can see the limb pocket itself is here. That should fit most ILF limbs. And there is some room for horizontal adjustment on the limb pocket by loosening the center bolt and adjusting the side bolts. The Frontier comes pre-installed with these felt pads as the arrow rest. This is almost identical to the Bosenbows horn 17-inch ILF. In fact, the grip is almost identical to the 17-inch horn. Wouldn't be surprising if the company shared the same parts or the same manufacturer. So I actually quite like this when I used it, so this should prove quite promising in hand. There is a plunger hole drilled into it, though that's covered by the rest, so if you plan to use a screw-on rest or something else, do bear in mind it is blocked by the pre-installed rest. Interestingly, the Frontier also has the standard bushings for a sight. So if you do want to use a sight with this, you can. This might be desirable, as with many 17-inch risers, the sight window is very narrow. That can make it a bit difficult to shoot barebow. Now, the grip is also from the horn 17-inch ILF from Bosenbows. Same design, same pattern, and this isn't a bad thing. It's a plastic grip. Fairly light, and it's actually quite narrow. I've got small hands, but even my hands go all the way around the grip very easily. So do bear in mind, if you have big hands, this might be a little too small for you. Otherwise, for average to smaller hands, it seems okay. Gets a nice support, good purchase with the palm of the hand. Actually feels really good. Nice and comfortable, quite intuitive. This worked well with the horn. No reason why it can't work well with the Frontier. The front of the riser is well rounded and smooth, so it doesn't feel uncomfortable to hold. It might feel a little strange with the texture, but I don't think there'll be too many problems with this. You'll probably get used to it really quickly and you won't notice it. While we're at it, we'll take a look at the Blade recurve limbs, which are also available on the Mandarin Duck site. This, along with the Frontier, make up the ILF package, which you can get. If you use these limbs with the Frontier, you get a 60-inch bow. Now, I had some deja vu with this again, because while you do see the Mandarin Duck logo on the limbs, it is also the Bosenbows logo on the label here. This is actually not on the website. I believe it's photoshopped out. The same label with Bosenbows as a manufacturer. It says Bosenbows RF3. Now, I happen to have a set of Bosenbows limbs. This is the Bosenbows RC3, which I believe is basically identical to the RF3, except for the finish. So I should have a good idea as to what these limbs will perform like. This doesn't surprise me. I would assume that Mandarin Duck and Bosenbows are sharing the same manufacturer for their parts. Bosenbows is a good brand, they're pretty reliable and they perform quite well. But yeah, don't be too confused by the cross-branding. As I said before, this is an IOF setup, which means to assemble, all you have to do is to align the limb and click it in. Same with the other side as well. Line up and click it in. If there's already one reason why you might want to look at this above the Mandarin Duck Phantom, it's the ease of assembly. The Mandarin Duck requires you to screw it in. This is just click on and you're ready to go. And of course there's the interchangeability of limbs, so should you want to replace the limbs, they're quite easy to do. You can use any IOF limb or you can buy the same brand from Mandarin Duck. I'm also pretty sure that the string they sent me is also used by Bosenbows. And here we have the Frontier fully strung. Seems alright. 60-inch bow. I do like the all black look. I know a lot of people don't like the glossy, colourful scheme that you get with target bows. I do like the powder matte black finish on the riser. It does be quite subtle, and the all black limbs are something which people might like as well. There's basically no branding apart from the Mandarin Duck sticker on the back. The front is perfectly black, so it's a nice all black bow. Looks pretty good. Feels right in the hand. I've had the same grip before from the other bows. Feels quite familiar and comfortable. Not too much backward weight. That's normal for any bear bow. And there is a front stabilizer bushing in case you want to add a bit more weight to the front. But we'll shoot the bear bow as it is and we'll see how it goes. Oh, that is nice. Now, when you shoot like a 40-pound plus bow, it does carry a bit of oomph to it. That came out really nicely. Whoa, really satisfying feel. That's pretty nice. That is pretty nice. There's hardly any vibration. It's well absorbed. The sound is fairly quiet. It's quite stable. I don't feel like I'm struggling with it. Surprisingly good. I mean, this is the really budget level, short 17-inch IOF recurve bows. It handles pretty good. And like I said, I'm already familiar with the feeling of the arrow rest and the grip from the Bosenbows. It's kind of like if you mix a Bosenbow design with a Mandarin Duck Phantom and you make it IOF, that's kind of what it feels like. Yeah, look, my impressions halfway through, it's definitely a workhorse of a bow. Solid, reliable, flings arrows quite well, good speed, doesn't vibrate much, feels actually really good. And from the rear angle, we'll start by dropping some shots into the big target on the right. Easy enough. And now we'll try the medium target. So start the top one, we'll try and gap this one. Yeah, That's alright. I'm not using a knocking point, so I don't expect the same level of consistency, but we can shoot in a general direction, and I'm pretty happy with that. Overall thoughts on the Mandarin Duck Frontier, it's pretty good. I mean, for the price you're paying for, it performs and handles well. Nothing really negative to say about it. As I pointed out before, it's top heavy, but that's quite normal for most recurve bows. If you want good balance, you'll probably want a weight in the front. But otherwise, by itself, the bow handles fine. The grip is really good. Vibration is well maintained. It's overall good bow. No real negatives. It's just a pretty good short recurve bow, and if you're asking if it's worth the money, then yeah, it's pretty good. If you really want to compare this to other Mandarin Duck products, like the Phantom, which has been very popular, I'd say this is more similar to an upscaled, upmarket Phantom. It performs better than the Phantom and has a better grip, in my opinion. It's more of a conventional recurve grip, whereas the Phantom has more of the narrow compound style grip. So bear in mind the Phantom is about $100 altogether, whereas this one requires the riser and the limbs and the accessories like the string, so this will cost you a bit more. It's more modular, easy to put together. It does have that nice powder black coat and all black limbs, if you get the blade limbs as well. So I'd say overall the Frontier is a pretty good bow. If you're looking at bows like this in the market for that budget cost, it's as good as any. Handles well, has no real fault to speak of, and yeah, it's definitely a decent bow. Anyway, this is NUSensei. Hope you found this interesting and helpful. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.